you guys know, another day of me finding trash on the side of the street to fix up. This time I found a snare drum that was just thrown off the side of someone's curb. Now this thing is in rough shape, but it's a metal hoop drum, and it's got a damper in it, as you can see, and that's a big plus for me. That immediately stuck out. As you can tell, the snare wires are all blown to bits here. But I think this is a great contender to do a little restoration, and this puppy will be barking in no time. And the style of the snare drum is very Ludwig inspired, especially with the snare strainer. And the big issue with this snare drum right now is that the snare strainer is bent and is completely jammed, and you can't turn these snares on and off. So we're gonna have to do a little bit of rehab there to fix that. But other than that, everything else looks pretty good. Just needs a little cleaning up, a little polishing to make that metal shine again, and it's gonna be good to go. Next thing we're going to do is completely take apart the snare drum, just so we have all the parts out of the way and we could get to the strainer piece that we ultimately want to work on. Once I get the strainer out, I'm going to put that bad boy in my vise and very, very carefully, with the slightest touch in the world, put the strainer back into its 90-degree position. Once that was figured out, it was time to just polish everything on this drum to make it shine again. I love this stuff, never dull. I use it on everything that's chrome, whether that be cars or drum pieces or whatever you got this chrome. This stuff works great on. And let's just put in the elbow grease and make this puppy shine again. And once I start polishing the shell of this drum, it really starts to sparkle and it starts to look like a brand new drum. And once I'm done with the shine job, I am going to put some grease on the threads of the lugs so that when they thread back into the drum, there's proper lubrication so you can tighten them down properly. I just use really cheap lubricant that you could get at the auto parts store for a couple dollars, and it will last you a lifetime. And once all that elbow grease was said and done, I got some replacement heads for the drum as well as replacement snare wires. I do some really rough tuning, and I have my Ludwig Acrolite as a comparison to check between the two and see if I could get a sound that's similar that I get from my Acrolite. And to use the Ludwig Acrolite as a comparison to this snare drum, this snare drum has less lugs around the head, which is not so great for a snare drum. Really, with the snare drum, the more lugs the better, because you're going to be hitting the snare drum pretty hard a lot of the times. And when you have a snare drum that has as little lugs as this, I think there's 8 on this snare drum, the lugs are going to come loose pretty quickly, especially on the area where you're smacking the hoop when you're doing your rim shots on the snare drum. The damper worked exactly the same as the Acrolite, and both in function and in form. The actual shell itself is not an aluminum shell like the Acrolite is. This is some sort of steel. It's magnetic. I'm not specifically sure what kind of steel this is, but nonetheless, it is a steel drum. And it does give a different sound than the aluminum shell. Alright, enough talking. Let's set some microphones up and test this snare drum out. And there you have it. Hopefully you guys think the snare sounds good. I think it sounds perfect for a great trashy sound, and I think I'm going to give this snare to my friend Alex, because this kid is always giving me gifts. He's buying me records and and I'm just a terrible friend, so I'm going to gift this to him, and he's going to make great use out of it. I know he's going to make some great sounding music. And with a metal shelled snare drum such as this, Alex is going to be able to use this snare drum for many years to come. I find the process of restoring stuff like this really enjoyable, especially when it doesn't take a lot of work like this snare drum did. I'm going to be doing a restoration video for a Ludwig Speed King drum pedal within the next month or so look out for that if you guys are interested in kind of watching these repair/restoration videos. And as always, remember to go find some tasty junk lying around your neighborhood ready to be fixed up. See you guys next time.